Sorry about that. Chalk can actually absorb copper, so you've actually got to reduce it to not only get the copper to go into a safe form, but also to either flush it out. And since copper is also involved in the iron pathway, to put the iron enzymes in that put the magnesium atom into the centre of the chlorophyll molecule, since they don't seem to use iron, is that why we got a dependence on the second form of classical iron, which is manganese, of course. You know, as I said, in the time of Wilfarth and Helriger, when they were 25 years struggle to show and prove, in quotes, that legumes do indeed fix nitrogen from the atmosphere, and it's via a microorganism growing in their roots, and maintained in this anaerobic environment sort of thing, that's also dependent on iron, molybdenum and cobalt. Cobalt, I think, to be able to grow the organism, but the iron and molybdenum for the actual inside the nodules. I may be getting some of this wrong, fellas. It's been a long time, and probably there's been a lot more understanding since the days of my book reading, but because we've got to explain why the highest micronutrient in peat and other related humuses is copper, when everyone says CPs don't like copper. And I'm thinking, well, you know, if there's some involvement with chalk, with the manufacture of the humus, the chalk will retain the copper, and that's how copper could get into the humus that way. Also, as I say, if it's made into this green mobile reduced form, it's very mobile in the environment then, so it can move around in the environment. But again, how does we've got an idea of how the lignin conundrum could be explained. The lignin actually comes from the organism, and if you grow the organism, it's going to end up in the peat. It's actually the dead organism in the peat that gives the impression that there's actually lignin there, in quotes. It's a type of lignin, in quotes, I suppose. I mean, that's an angle anyway that you could show. And I don't like proving things, I like showing things. I like to show, you know. You show it to be so, don't try to prove something, just show it to be so, you know. The proof is in the show, isn't it? You know. Anyway, so we'll see how we go, and as I said, I think we got to the end of stage one, getting an alternative potting medium that does the business. It stabilises shot borts very quickly, and it's totally not based on peat at all. You were right about the perlite, fellas. It is better than sand, but of course you've missed the polystyrene angle. You need some form of reductive flammable gas going up through the medium. So the next question is, do we get a better response if we actually do sit these pots in an inch or two of water? You see, that's always been the problem, is how much water do you give it, or do you actually have to sit them in an inch or two, or do you just have to sit them on a block system, and that's enough to force the gas to come up through the pot? But you want a cheaper system than this, and my suggestion to you is not to use this, but to use something like Hebel, which we didn't have back in my day. It's only been around now for, you know, a decade or so, but now the price has come down so much now that it's worth. You can get a whole big block about the length of you can get a whole big block about the length of this, so you can get a block. So like you can get 2 blocks, each block is about $6, so for that size area you could do that for $12. So that's pretty good. I'm sure if you bought it in bulk you could get the price right the way down too, you know. You'd be paying for, you know, $4 or maybe even $3 for a block if you bought it in bulk, like you bought 100 pieces or something of Hebel. And it's very easy to cut with a standard household saw, so maybe that's what we'll be doing later in this new 2017 season. As we go into the wet sort of thing, we'll be setting up blocks of Hebel, and we'll be setting up some containers, and we'll compare 1 or 2 inches of, you know, you can do 1 or 2 inches by actually putting a hole in your container so that it can never go greater than 1 or 2 inches. So whenever it gets rained upon, the water fills up and then just runs out until it gets to like 1 or 2 inches, and it can't go any higher, or well, it can go lower unless you keep it filled up, of course. but it can't go any higher. Well, it can for moments, you know, for a few minutes while it drains out. But, you know, if we have a sudden massive rain shower and you get an extra half a foot of water in your container, well, it'll take 2 or 3 minutes to run out, you know, but after that it'll be back down to your 1 or 2 inches, whatever you set the level at, sort of thing. So anyway, we'll see how we go. But you see this colour, this sort of dark strawberry leaf colour, that's what I'm saying with these magazines. These fly traps in the wild, especially the one from the EDGECOMBE County, because the thing is, the royal red fly trap seeds actually came from Hampstead came from Hampstead, North Carolina, which is another area. Like you got EDGECOMBE County, you got Hampstead County. That's the Serpentine area. So there you go. There's the Serpentine connection. Where did all the red coloured fly traps come from? They came from Hampstead, North Carolina, I think it is. I might be wrong on that. It might be Hampstead, North Carolina, which is it has serpentine belts in that county. So maybe there are other counties that also have serpentine belts. You may want to go looking there because you may find a different coloured form of fly trap, a slight variation. Orange with purple spots. No, more like purple with orange, or yeah, well, purple with turquoise spots. That would be lovely. But anyway, I just have I been on spot quarantine? Yeah, I should have gone back to normal. Anyway, so that's basically it, fellas. Another talkie of where we're heading. So I'll set up some more containers and we'll get into egg and chalk and see how we go. And if we get the organism to grow in 3 or 4 days and it gets to that stage much faster and gets even darker than that, well, I think we've got our in. Basically the polystyrene was an out. It wasn't an in, it was an out. So it was a way of sorting out all the other rubbish and getting to a non-peat medium that we now have a standard non-peat, you know, it's basically 50-50 perlite and polystyrene, and with some charcoal on the top. You know, I don't think you even need the charcoal on the top. I reckon we'll end up being perlite and polystyrene, and we'll be putting our egg chalk diluted mixture, because Dom Gavine talks about just having sphagnum moss, which is probably the equivalent to polystyrene in perlite in a way, and he puts on his regimen of fertiliser, which he's not telling anything about, but he's only got onto it, I think, since he's gone up to Exotica plants up in Queensland, and you know, ever since he's come back, he's grown this plant very quickly, very colourfully, and very large. And I think that's probably what he's doing. It's probably something like egg and chalk, dilute. You know, he shakes it up in a bottle and just sprays it on. And the sphagnum is just like a polystyrene perlite substitute in a way, a natural sort of thing. So yeah, does his moss go red? That's the question. Does he get red moss? Has he got red moss since he's been to Exotica plants, since he's been using this fertiliser regimen sort of thing? And what did he do to Jeff Mansell up there and thing? He say, you know, oh, I want to know what your secret formula is. Oh, you're going to have to suck my cock. Not knowing that John McGrine is gay, and he went down there